How could I boast in anything I've ever seen or done? How could I dare to claim as mine the victories God has won? Where would I be had God not brought me gently to this place? I'm here to say I'm nothing but a sinner saved by grace. You're listening to That Other Life. I'm your host, Richard Haddad. A Sinner Saved by Grace was written by Bill and Gloria Gaither. For many years now, I've noticed a pattern in the judgments that people throw at one another. A pattern in what sort of rumors seem the most popular, sadly and especially in so-called Christian circles. This next topic that I'll be discussing will be split into 3 sessions. The first being natural talent or spiritual discipline. What I mean by that is we often look at ourselves with a very proud eye. We look at our own strengths and natural talents and make the big mistake in thinking that they've come out of tough spiritual discipline. Let me elaborate on that with an example. I hate beer and I hate alcohol. I can't stand them. I don't like the smell of them. And in my life, I've had a few drops of beer in a soft drink once and I didn't think much of it. When it comes to alcohol though, it's not the taste that deters me from it. I have a fear of losing control of myself and of the decisions that I make. Now that's not to say that I never ever lose control and I always make good decisions. No, that would be a lie and it would be a hypocritical thing to say because, well, like lies are, it wouldn't be true. There are situations in our lives when we are surprised by something and we react in a certain way. When we step back and we think in retrospect, we realize that that wasn't the best way to react. In fact, there were a million other better ways that we could have reacted. We lost control. In those times though, we still have a chance to put the brakes on and say, okay, I've gone far enough, that's it. If I'm drunk and I've never been precisely because of this, how will I know when I've gone too far? How will I know to put the brakes on? What is going to stop me from going even further? See, I don't go near alcohol because I don't know what my limit is. Meaning, I don't know how much my body can handle. I might take a sip and be okay. I might take 2 sips and I'll still be fine. But why should I try? What if 3 sips is where I start losing control? I don't know. And I don't want to find out. So I side with safety and I just don't drink. Now, if I say that I do that because I'm a holy person, not only am I deceiving myself, but I'm mocking God, who really is holy. I know that I do all this out of a natural tendency of preferring to be awake and aware of what I'm doing and saying. Again, this doesn't mean that I always do and say the right things, but there's more chance that I will put the brakes on when I'm awake. The other side to this also is that when I react to something, it's usually something unexpected, something that catches me by surprise. Someone says something or does something, and in my shock, I react. Not that it is excusable, but to a certain degree it was out of my control. I can still apologize for doing something blindly, rather than taking a moment to compose myself and reacting in the right way. Now when I take a drink of alcohol, that doesn't catch me by surprise. I can't possibly say, oh, I reacted. I was surprised by a bottle of wine and I drank it all. And then I took another one and I drank that all. Wow, I didn't even notice. So I say no before I even take a sip, because I'm sure that saying no becomes even more difficult with every extra sip I take. Again, I know that this is something of the mind and not something of my heart, not something out of spiritual discipline. I don't struggle with this. Now don't get me wrong, I thank God for it, absolutely. Because even my natural strength is from Him. But what I'm trying to get at is this. We often look at people around us and judge them because they're not as strong in areas in their lives that we are naturally strong in. What we're actually doing isn't just judging, but taking pride in ourselves, which is an even bigger sin. Oh, he can't say no to alcohol. What a heathen! Meanwhile, there are weaknesses in me that even I am ashamed of. In my Year 12 formal, I sat in the corner of a dining room with a friend of mine, while a lot of our classmates were dancing on the other side of the room. He asked me, "Richard, what do you think of me wearing an earring?" I laughed. I said, what do you think of yourself wearing an earring? And he said, I don't think anything of it. It's stupid really, but I've been amazed at how judgmental some people have been. I said, Sam, what do you think of dancing? He said, I think it's stupid too, and he laughed. I said, here's what I think. Most often when we judge people, we aren't judging people from a spiritual perspective. We don't look at someone and try to edify or admonish them. Or in other words, we don't try to teach them or warn them from something. We judge them for things in them that we don't like, things that we are not comfortable with. And then we make it seem like it's because of a godly discernment. And I think that's very dangerous. It's dangerous because we put others down in order to lift ourselves up or make ourselves feel better. We think of ourselves as though we know God and we speak for Him, while knowing full well that that's not really the case. Meanwhile, we are forgetting that we have habits in us that aren't just a reason of discomfort in others, but a displeasure for God. The more I focus on what you're wearing, the less I'm focusing on how I'm living. The best advice I can give is this. If I'm doing something that may become a stumbling block to others, that becomes wrong, even if it's well-intentioned. Finally, whenever you see people spreading rumors or making judgments on little things without seeing the heart, what you are looking at are people who are lazy, people who are disobedient, people who are rebellious against God, and they don't want to change anything in their lives, so they shift the focus to someone else. Now that's the advice I gave a friend in high school. That's the advice I give myself today. And that's the advice I want to give you. You may have a strength in an area in your life, while others may have a weakness in that same area in their lives. Don't make the mistake in thinking that you're holier than them. If you think like that, you don't know the first thing about spiritual discipline. Next week, I want to talk about something that I've already touched on today. Rumors and those who spread them. If you have any thoughts or opinions on anything I said today, please send an email to opinions@thatotherlife.com. And even if you have opinions on anything else, I'd love to hear your thoughts, I'd love to hear your opinions, and I'd love to hear your suggestions. Thank you for listening. I'm Richard Haddad, and these have been my thoughts on That Other Life. Please send an email to opinions@thatotherlife.com. I'd love to hear them, or read them, or whatever.